Well, hey there, fancy seeing you on the internet. In this video we're going to be showing you how to make these lightweight tiles out of wood. Da-da-da. And I know you're thinking, oh, they're scary to make tiles out of wood even though they're going in a shower area. I know. So we're going to be showing you how to protect them and how to put them in your shower. Is that you don't need a lot of money to make these. All you need is a few materials, which I'll explain later on in the video, and a few basic tools will be handy. So if you've got them tools, great. If you don't, ask your dad, your granddad, your friend's dad, a mum, your mum, your friend's mum, grandma and granddad. Ask someone to borrow their tools or buy them. So before you put your tiles in, you've got to have your area waterproofed, which I've explained in another video somewhere. But this is pretty much just tape in the corners, waterproofing tape, and then waterproofing membrane on top. And then I've got my shower base in the bottom, which are made out of fiberglass, and then silicone around the corners. So the whole area is watertight and ready to tile. So let's show you how to make them. Woohoo! So kicking off with this budget build, what better way than to use reclaimed pallet wood, which actually, believe it or not, ends up being free. And I'm just going to be planing it down to 10mm thick, taking at least half of the weight off of the boards. And by planing them, it ensures that all of them are the exact same depth, so there's not going to be any that are sticking out. And then after that we move on to straightening the boards, because if you've ever worked with pallet wood, you'll know that most of the time they're pretty wibbly wobbly like a worm. So we got to straighten one side with this lovely straightening jig which I created, and then cut the board down to the desired size that you would like your tiles. I'm going for 90mm. Now you obviously don't have to make squares, you can make whichever shape you like. But for this video and for my van, I'll be making squares. So once all the boards are cut to the width that I like, then I put a round over on the router on both sides. And this just saves routing all of the edges once I've cut them, so I can just route both the sides, leaving just the end grains to route once I've cut them. Because you gotta work hard, not smart. That's what they say, I'm pretty sure. Hard, not smart. But anyway, then we moved on to cutting the lengths into squares. And a little tip with the table saw is that I got a piece of wood that's 10mm and I clamped it on. And because I was cutting them 90mm, I moved my fence to 100mm. Meaning that they would cut at 90mm and they won't just kick back from the fence. And now, I don't know if I invented this manoeuvre, but a cardboard box under your table to catch all your pieces. You don't have to go fishing around on the ground to find them all. They're in a bloody box to pick up and move to the next station, which happens to be, you guessed it, back to the router to clean up the end grain edges which we were talking about previously. And you have to be a little bit more careful with this one because your fingers are pretty close to the router head. But once you get into the groove, you should be running smoothly, and it should all go to plan with all 10 fingers. And then there's the sanding, which I hate almost as much as a driver in front of you slamming on the brakes and then indicating last minute, or like your girlfriend losing the bank card 1,000 times, even though you've lost it 999 times. Or a pedestrian walking over the street without saying thank you. So for the colour of these tiles, I'm going to be using Feast Watson oak colour. And we've used this colour for the floor. What else we used it for? We've used it for the roof. So the whole theme of this oak is all the way through the van, along with a couple of other colours. With the staining process, it's very important to be in a well ventilated area, because this stuff is pretty poisonous, pretty toxic, all that yada yada. And it's also good to use a respirator or something covering your face, because these fumes are toxic. But all safety aside, I'm doing 2 coats of this oak stain just because the first coat is a little bit dull and the second coat is what brings the colour out. And I'm using a microfiber cloth which makes the application wicked. The varnish that we're using is a marine varnish. Hay fever. Which means that the wood's going to get wet. Which means the varnish should be protecting that. And this one's the same brand, Feast Watson. And this varnish is as close as you can get to just resining the tiles, which would obviously be the best way to do it, but it would cost a lot of money. Thinking about how many square meters the whole shower is going to be, you'd have to use a gazillion litres to fill the whole shower with the tiles. You got money? No. This one. Let's do it. So when varnishing these tiles, you need to remember two things. The end grain absorbs a lot, so you need to put a lot of varnish on them. They're thirsty little boys. And number two, if there's any knots or cracks, also smash it on. But don't be a little globby glubson. No one likes a drip and no one likes a glub. Alright, let's add another third thing real quick. You gotta do the back. That's a no-brainer. You gotta do the sides, the back. Make the whole thing waterproof. Ready to track in a swimming pool. Along with some nice swimming trunks and a pool noodle. But anyway, once that's all done, leave them out to dry for a substantial amount of time, because you're going to be putting another coat on them. Let's move on to sticking these tiles onto the wall. Now the left side of my brain was saying, use adhesives that are for tiles. And the right side of my brain was saying, use something that sticks wood to something. And the left side won. Meaning we got this tile adhesive which says flexible in it, which convinced the right side of the brain that it was a go. And this is where it started. The tile meeting the wall for the very first time. A swipe of a trowel. And bang! The adhesive is on the wall. Followed by a soft, gentle wooden tile. They have met their match. So that is day one of the tiling. It's getting a bit late now and I've actually ran out of these little cross pieces. So we'll get them tomorrow and we'll carry on. I'm also thinking that a silicone or T-Rex might be easier to attach these tiles onto the wall, because we were a bit skeptical about grout in a moving vehicle. That's why we got this flexible rubber grout. But I reckon T-Rex might do the job, so I might switch to that. Who knows? We'll see tomorrow. So the rubber adhesive didn't even work. I woke up in the morning, drove to get a coffee. All the tiles fell off. So I'm going to go T-Rex. You can't go wrong. Let's do that instead. So, I know most of you guys are budding young builders. And when I started off building, I had no knowledge. I had no one to tell me what to buy, what to get, blah, blah, blah. So I'm here to tell you that this guy is the best. And these guys are happily sponsoring this video so that I can get the word out about how awesome this product is. So it all started a few years ago. I was in a pub car park with a friend. And I said, mate, my skylight will not stop leaking. I keep getting raindrops falling on my head when I'm trying to sleep. Every silicone that I've used just ends up leaking. And his magical arm reached into the boot of his car. And out came half a tube of T-Rex. What the bleeding dickens is that? And he said, mate, all your fears will go away with this product. So I took it home, smashed it on. And honestly, I've never looked back. I've used it throughout this series. I've used it for the window, for the skylight, for every hole. It's cut in the van and I'm putting something in. I use T-Rex. We're using it, obviously, to put the tiles up in this video because the rubber adhesive wasn't rubbery and didn't work. This guy works. But anyway, this product is for everything, to stick to everything. So any project, have it in your back pocket. There'll be a link in the description of the website to buy them. So after all the tiles fell on the floor, I thought, well, I don't want to waste them. It took quite a long time to make. So I sanded off all of the adhesive off the backs and then we re-varnished them all, which was still a very long process. So I guess I'll be listening to the right side of my brain, which is the more creative side, rather than believing that a wooden tile is a real tile. What a box I was thinking in. Now the reason we're varnishing the back is because, in case any of the silicone cracks in between the tiles, water might run down behind them. So you don't want them bowing, twisting, getting damp, getting mouldy. This T-Rex silicone is called a fast grab silicone. So you can just squirt your blobs on there, put your tile up, and it's gonna hold. Mind blowing, I know. And you don't have to put too much on there because it's pretty freaking strong. And in my opinion, I reckon wooden tiles are probably the best way to do your tiles, because there's a lot of weird shapes going on inside my shower, which would be near impossible to cut using a real tile. But it being wood, it's just a jigsaw. But that's obviously something that you have to plan and cut all of your weird shapes first to then stain and varnish. So that is the tiling done on one of the walls, just another 3 to finish off, and then we are done. So let's see what it looks like. So that is all the tiling done. Check it out. Ooh. I ended up putting 2 more coats once the tiles were up of varnish, giving a subtotal of 4 coats, which should definitely keep these tiles waterproof. Now all I've got to do is silicone in between the cracks, which I'll do in another video called How to Build the Shower. The link will be down in the description. It shows you how I built the whole area and the waterproofing, the shower base, everything about this area. But anyway, thanks for watching. Give it one of those. And I'll see ya in the next video.